Hello, you're listening to From McClay to Zalma. I'm your host, Karen Miller. This podcast is about the adventures and travels of two women from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, who work for the U.S. Army at Zama, Japan. Their stories are told through hundreds of letters written home. Episode 15, Kyoto Prefecture, letters 38 to 40. I thought I'd start this episode with some more information about Kyoto. Having grown up on an Angus beef farm, I'm interested in what makes the Kyoto beef the most expensive and sought-after beef in the world. This information came from the Gold Ring Wagyu cattle website. The fact is, feeding Wagyu cattle is different from feeding other cattle breeds, but in America, it doesn't involve beer or massage. The Wagyu breed is a working breed, such as oxen, and some of these cattle are still working fields in Japan. Some Japanese farmers have massaged their cows because farmland is in short supply in Japan, meaning the cattle don't roam as freely as they should. In America, we have larger pasture land to give the cattle plenty of room to roam and to relax freely. Some farmers in Japan may massage their cows' muscles during wintertime when they are prone to their muscles cramping or seizing from the cold. The farmers used to pound on the cows so that when they went back to the field, their joints weren't tight. This is where the massage myth comes from. The feeding of beer has been used by Japanese farmers to increase the appetite, especially during the winter months. This is not standard practice and is not a feeding requirement. Wagyu has a particularly rich, buttery feel in your mouth because of the marbling of the fat, not because of an overall higher proportion of fat than American beef. Wagyu cattle are genetically predisposed to have higher levels of unsaturated fats. The fat is evenly dispersed throughout the beef and melts at a much lower temperature than other beef, which gives the steak a buttery texture. People in the U.S. are used to eating too large a portion of steak. When eating Wagyu beef, it is so rich that if you ate the same amount, a tummy ache would be the result. You can definitely get the same satisfaction in eating 4 ounces of Wagyu over 16 ounces of Angus ribeye. I found this information on Kyoto from an article in the Tokyo Journal called Japanese Cultural Capital. Kyoto was Japan's capital city until 1868. Today, it is widely considered to be the country's cultural capital for its plethora of Buddhist temples, along with its Shinto shrines, palaces, and gardens. During World War II, U.S. Secretary of War Henry Stimson, who had honeymooned in Kyoto, demanded it be removed from the list of targets for the atomic bomb due to the city's cultural importance. In addition, the city was fortunately spared from large-scale conventional bombing, allowing for the preservation of many Japanese cultural treasures. Kyoto is the world's #1 destination for kabuki, which is classical Japanese theater, flawlessly groomed geishas, traditional entertainers, and blooming springtime sakura, which is cherry blossoms, as well as bamboo forests, sacred shrines, traditional temples, and delicious traditional food. Regarding Typhoon Tess, which struck Japan on September 17, 1953, and continued to cause damage to the country for 10 days, we don't know if Peg was fully aware of the destruction or if she was just downplaying it for her parents. But more than 400 people were killed, over 787,000 acres of crops were destroyed, and 5,582 ships were damaged. Over 86,000 houses were destroyed. Now, let's get to the letters. Letter 38 from Peg, written the 28th of September, 1953. Dear Mother and Daddy, got a letter from you today, also one from Shirley Garland. She writes me about as regularly as you do, not every week, but she answers my letters promptly. Still haven't heard from Takusan people that I've written to, so the devil with them. Haven't heard from the Williamsons for a long time, nor from the Stuckies or Wamplers. But please don't call them anymore. It's just so many less letters I have to write, and I really don't care. And neither of us has heard from Mark and Sis. I think that's real stinking, and I sure know now how much some people are full of crap. Nevertheless, don't remind or ask anyone to write. Just keep writing yourselves. We had a visit from Typhoon Tess on Friday night, and she sure kicked up a storm. Vern was in Kyoto and couldn't get back till today. Friday night, when it really started to blow, Jeanette and I tried to close some of the outside doors, and it took us about 15 minutes to finally get them closed. All this went on in pitch black darkness because all the lights in the camp were out. When we stumbled back to the room, we heard the doors banging again, and sure enough, they were open. So we just let them bang. Then Vivia, a colored girl, said in a real mournful voice, "Peggy, please play Nearer My God to Thee." I picked it out, and then some more girls came in my room, and we had a candlelight party. It was one of the best parties yet. I guess it was because we were all scoshy scared so that we'd be blown into the next country. The next day the sun came out, and the weather has been beautiful since. Vern came back home as Jeanette and I were going for cokes at the bowling alley. While we were up there, the blankety-blank lights went out again, so we had to stumble home in the darkness. Oh, but we never had it so good. We keep telling this to ourselves. Mother, I really don't think that Vern is sick. Sometimes we all have days when we work for a change, and if we don't have anything planned for the evening, we just fool around. And I think a person always gets tireder than if they have something planned for the evening. I really think she's okay, but I'll keep looking after her for you. The stupid, ignorant lights just went out again, so I'm writing this by candlelight. I have to take a shower yet, so maybe I'll go to bed sometime before morning. Vern, Vi, and Jeanette were just in here, and Vern gave me the most adorable incense burner. She bought it for me in Kyoto. It's real lovely. The candle is slowly burning out, so I'll close now and try to hurry to do some things before it's gone. Take care of yourselves and Blondie. Love, Peg. Letter 39 from Vern. Dearest folks, did you read about Typhoon Tess? I was in it. The most heavily damaged area was in Kyoto Prefecture, and I was staying in a special services hotel on the outskirts of Kyoto. Actually, since the hotel was very sturdily built, we were in no danger, but the rain came in at the windows, and the tiles blew off the roof in large pieces. The wind and rain actually roared, and from 3 p.m. until the wee small hours of the next morning, the lights were out all over the hotel. We ate, dressed, bathed, etc. by candlelight, and by tiny quartermaster issued candles too, not big tall ones. Very spooky effect. In the later afternoon, we joined the other guests down in the bar and listened to the servicemen sing. There were several Canadian airmen and one American captain who had very good voices. They led the group and actually achieved very good harmony. The women were not invited to sing, but we all sat quiet as mice and enjoyed the male chorus. After dinner, one of the boys started to play the piano in the dining room. He was very good, and we sat in the lobby for a long time listening to him. After that, there being nothing else to do, we went to bed. In the morning, we couldn't believe our eyes. The sun was shining, the sky was blue, and the air was warm. Rail, bus, and automobile traffic was out of order, so we took a hike in the immediate vicinity of the hotel. There was much damage in evidence around us. Crops were flooded, the flimsy wooden homes were caved in, and all the little trees which had lined the avenues were blown down. I've taken some pictures of the crew setting the trees right again. If they're good, I'll send them along in the next letter. The hotel is located in the most beautiful valley you can imagine, and it was a pleasure just to walk around. Some of the sightseeing tours were canceled, but we managed to take in 2 of them, one to a Buddhist temple and another to some factories where jewelry called Damascus and ceramic work, known as Colosseum, were being made. We saw the process from beginning to end, and it was most fascinating. It is much too long to explain in a letter, so I will carefully save the literature and put it in my scrapbook to explain to you when I see you. We were originally scheduled to leave this hotel Saturday to go to Gifu and take a boat out on the river to see the cormorant fishing. However, we couldn't even get back to camp on time. So, of course, our fishing trip was out. We had reservations for Sunday from Gifu back to Yokohama, but we couldn't leave the hotel until Monday morning. So I was a day late in returning to work. Fortunately, I saw Major Wright, one of the big wheels in our office. He was delayed slightly too, so he phoned in and reported the situation for both of us. The return trip by train was 8 hours, and it was very interesting. We passed through some beautiful country. I saw Mount Fuji for the first time and was mightily impressed. We also saw tea growing. It is not grown in the Yokohama area, so this was my first glimpse. It's very pretty. It grows in small, round green clumps, like a trimmed hedge, and since most of what I saw was on terraced land, it made an attractive landscape. Do you know what I'm saying about terracing? I do wish I could sketch better. And she sketches farming terrace in the letter. As you know, I went with Vi Dominicki, who is a good friend, and we joined her friend Jean Hookaway from Arizona and Paula Wolf from California. They proved to be very pleasant and congenial companions, and so it was a very happy vacation. Today, I learned something of great interest, at least to me. I have enjoyed knowing Ray and Harry Honda, two Japanese boys who were raised in America for the last half of their schooling. Ray told me today that his early years were spent at our Lutheran boys' school in Kumamoto. His mother still lives there, and when I mentioned that I planned to visit our missionaries in that area, he offered to write letters of introduction to some friends who could take me sightseeing into some Japanese homes and gardens which are not open to the public. Wasn't that kind of him? He knows Professor and Mrs. McCartney. Remember the missionary whom Miriam and Isabel and I took to dinner at Howard Johnson's last winter? Truly, it is a small world. To say that I was shocked when I heard about Isabel would not be strong enough. I was stunned. Actually, the longer I live, the less I understand people. In a way, I think I can see why she would be attracted. I believe she was starving for affection and would be receptive to anyone who would give it to her. I can't be convinced that he can make her happy, but if that is what she wants, I'm all for it too. I'll be rooting for her and sincerely hoping that it does work out. If Esther seems listless and not well, it was with good reason. She is expecting. This time they have put in for an order for a girl, but she says that Jimmy has been so wonderful that she would like half a dozen more. That is another surprise, huh? She sounded quite pleased, so naturally I'm glad for her, but a trifle concerned. It seems so soon. They will be about like Mark and Peg, huh? Of course, if you girls will wait so long to get married. I don't believe she wanted it to be known to the crowd at the Harrisburg meeting, so be careful not to spill the beans. I was delighted to hear that you went to the banquet. By the way, please send me the copy of Youth Today, which is dedicated to Warren. I'm very anxious to see it. We plan to mail the box with the Christmas presents tomorrow, the 30th. The boxes are all marked. Some people will have more than one box, so you will have to look. If you want to go to all the bother of rewrapping, it might be fun to look at the out-of-town ones. Suit yourself. This box will be too full to include the little cans, but in a short time I will be forwarding another box with things for Miriam and Isabel and Esther. I'll send the cans in that one. Did Peggy tell you we are thinking of buying a camera, which will take slide pictures that you can project on a screen? You remember the ones Jim Thompson showed us? The camera itself is only $40, and we have seen Vi and Vinia's wonderful pictures, so that we think we would have a much better and more vivid record of Japan if we had one of those. We will let you know. Now I must get to bed. Daddy, do you think records would travel that long a distance? Some of these Japanese ones are really weird, and for curiosity's sake, you should hear them. Maybe I'll risk it in one of these boxes. By the way, your Christmas presents are not in this box, but will be mailed in the States. Guess. Lots of love, you two, and Blondie. Here's a picture of the hotel. Nice, huh? Letter 40 from Peg. Dear Mother and Daddy. Written September 30th. Dear Mother and Daddy, just a quick note to tell you that I finished mailing the Christmas presentos, and I'm just boiling. First, Bird and I had the individual packages in both our suitcases. I took mine to work with me, and she took hers to work with her. I stopped by for her at lunchtime, and we took them to the packing place to have them put in big boxes. Then we went to the PX drive-in and had a sandwich and Coke for lunch. Bern had to get back to work, so she left, and I waited for the boxes to be finished. They're wrapped just fine in wooden boxes and strapped, but Papa-san wasn't working today, and two boy-sons did the job. The printing on them took a long time to do, and it's a horrible job. I am just hoping that they finally arrive. First of all, it's raining, and the camp down there is so torn up, we had to trudge through mud, and my shoes, Bern's too, I guess, are caked with mud and dirt besides being wet. Then I had to lug one suitcase back to the billet with me, and all the time it's raining and muddy. My blood pressure is now sky high, but I guess I'll calm down in an hour or so. The dumb, stupid people over here, Army and Japanese, decide to repair or rebuild something, and then they do the whole job at once. There are ditches dug all over the camp, and I imagine it may sound funny to you folks, but I know that someday I'll laugh about it, but it's pretty exasperating right now. By the way, if you haven't gotten the shoes yet, the ones that I asked you to send me for Christmas, please make it 2 pairs, because with this damn slopping around, I'm slowly wearing out all that I have. And another Christmas suggestion, I'd like to have a black cardigan sweater, size 38, or what you think would be okay. And please get it in nylon or Orlon, because the dry cleaners aren't too good, and Yamanouchi can wash those kinds of materials okay. Mother, just what is this about your knee? Does it give you much trouble? Can you walk okay? Vern got Daddy's letter today, and I just read it. Was the package opened and rewrapped when you got it? Did you have to pay any duty? Was the customs card still on it? Yesterday, I got a letter from Aletha Setzer, and she said that Peggy Shattle is going to have a baby in January or February. Did you know? I'm not going to do a lick of work this afternoon if I can get out of it, because the colonel's not in, and I'm so mad at the Army and their stupid way of doing things that I'll just take it out on them and goof off this afternoon. Another thing, the bus from Yokohama used to stop right across the street from our billet. Some lunkhead motor officer in Yokohama decides that he wants to change the bus stop, so they moved it to another location, and now we have to walk about a block and a half to get it. It wouldn't be so bad as it is now. The bus passes by our billet on 2 sides, and since there's no scheduled bus stop there, Boy-san can't stop to let us out at the door, even though it may be raining pitchforks. One night, I was the only one on the bus that wandered off at my billet. So I said, "Chot mat, Boy-san," which means stop. He said, "I chot mat, but you no tell." So he left me out because it was just pouring. As it was, I got off the bus and stepped into a puddle of water up over my shoes. Oh well. Enough of this griping. I feel better already just blowing off steam about it. It's the little things like this that are so maddening, but all we can do is great. Love, Peg. Clearly, the weather is problematic for them. I wasn't aware of the weather being that bad in Japan, but it certainly has been too hot, too cold, and too wet in the 3 months that they've been there. I wish I was privy to the letters that they are responding to. I wonder what is wrong with Helen's knee. I know that later in life, she had trouble with both arthritis and eczema. This might be a good time to remind everyone of these people's ages. Peg is 25, Vern is 33, Helen, mother, is 56, and John, daddy, is 73. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, and if you are, please subscribe in Spotify. On Apple Podcast, hit the plus button in the top right-hand corner and rate. This will help my listeners find my podcast more easily. You can access the show's website at www.fromtheclaytozama.com, where I have posted photos and will continue to do so for each episode. The podcast is now available on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Patreon, and Amazon Music as well. In the next episode, 40 Cups of Coffee, you will hear letters 41 to 43, plus a letter written to Peg. I hope you have a great week.